Hey guys, welcome in. This is Man Cave Media and this is our first video. I'm so excited. You ready? All right. So I did a little intro video for y'all to tell you what my channel is going to be about. You can go look at that. So basically we're just going to be talking physical media, mostly movies here. And as my first video, I know we're in April, but we're going to do a haul video as our first official video of everything from January to March. All right. I don't have too many, but we're going to get into that. All right. Right now, we're in the man cave. We're in my garage. I'm renovating it to my man cave. We moved in a few months ago. It's a slow process, but it's really coming together. All right. I'm going to do a couple of videos, do kind of updates on how it's going. It's almost there. I would say maybe about halfway done in here. And once it's done, I'll, set up all the movies, we can go look through all that. I have about 600 movies right now. I'll pull them out of the boxes. They've been locked up in boxes for a couple years now. So it'll be really, really nice and fresh to get them all out and breathe. And so we can go ahead and look at them and talk about them. All right, so like I said in my intro video, I am new to 4Ks. I have one 4K right now. I do not have a 4K player yet. I do not have an OLED yet. That is in process. Once we get this, media room filled out and ready, we're definitely gonna cross that line, all right? But for now, I have Blu-rays and I have DVDs, all right? Let me tell you y'all something real quick. I have no issues with DVDs, okay? I still like DVDs. I feel like there's nothing wrong with them. Yes, they're dated. Yes, the picture's not great, but I do have a rule, all right? Any new releases that I find, like something that came out last week or whatever, I would not buy the DVD. I would definitely get the Blu-ray for now until I, level up to 4K. So also I want you to know that in my collection, I already talked about that I have like over 600 DVDs. I would say about 80% of my collection is thrifted or pre-owned. I'll go to thrift shops, pawn shops, mom and pop shops, pretty much wherever I can find that sells DVDs, because I definitely should look for a good deal. I still will buy new items, when they release, but I have no problem waiting either until the price comes down. But so in this case, I do have, I believe, one new item that I purchased. I believe it was in February. Do not quote me on that. So we're getting into a lot of the other things that I have here are from Half Price Books. I went to Half Price Books after my birthday. I got the little birthday coupon in February, and so I took a full advantage of that. So let's get into it, shall we? I will start with Blu-ray, and we'll talk about the movies, and we'll go on through that. All right, so here we go. My first Blu-ray up is the Huntsman Winter's War. Now, I do have the first one. I have not watched it yet. This was definitely recommended from another YouTuber that I check out all the time, Brian with Last Movie Standing. He recommended this, and before, I remember these coming out, and I said, oh, Snow White? No, Snow White's not for me. I'm not about Snow White. But he highly recommended it. He said it's not the Snow White that you're thinking of. Like, you should definitely give it a chance. So I already do have the first one. I got the second one at Half Price Books when I went. I have not checked it out yet, but I definitely will soon, especially when all this is, up and going. So next up on the Blu-rays is Straw Dogs. Now I know that this is a remake. I have not seen the remake. I am curious, but I remember seeing this in theaters and I loved it. I thought it was really, really cool. It's got the guy from True Blood. I don't really know how to say his name. It's got James Marsden, Kate Bosworth. So I really, really enjoyed this film. I can't wait to look at it again. And one of my favorite part of this movie was James Woods. I have not seen James Woods in anything in a long time. So I'm really big fan of James Woods. So it's really, it's definitely a good one to watch. All right, so next one is one. A lot of these I did pick up at Half Price Books. This one was on my list. Is Total Recall. Again, another remake, but I really enjoyed this one. It's been a long time since I've seen this one. I did get this at Half Price Books. This is a thick boy. You see that? I have not seen many of these thick Blu-ray cases before. It's got a ton of special features in there. It's got the unrated version, the theatrical version. So very good. Excited to revisit this. Another one on the list, I recently got this one in March from Goodwill, my local Goodwill. This one is Warcraft. I remember watching this on Netflix a while back when it finally came out, so many years ago. And I was very surprised that I actually really enjoyed it. Now, I have never, ever played World of Warcraft. And to be honest, I don't really have that much interest. But I really did enjoy this one. And I do believe, if I remember correctly, that it did have an opening at the end towards, more to the story. So unfortunately, I don't think they're going to continue this franchise, but I did really enjoy this flick, and it was very much a surprise. Next one on the list, I did get this also from Goodwill. I still have the sticker on it. Is Aquaman. I did really enjoy this one when I saw it. It's beautiful. We've all seen Aquaman. I haven't seen it in a while, and I think it'd be really nice to go check it out again. Also, when it comes to the DC movies, like I really enjoyed the Justice League movie, especially the Zack Snyder one. I don't have it yet. Definitely want to do. But if I have those, I want the films that came before, so I can revisit them all when I want to. Like the Aquaman, the Batmans, the Batman versus Superman, the what's the other one? The Wonder Womans, So definitely gonna need to add a lot of those, but definitely found this at a good price at Goodwill, that's for sure. Next on the list is Rampage. Again, another Goodwill pickup. These were only about $3, which is not bad for Blu-rays whatsoever. I would go check out Goodwill as much as I can. One thing about me is, when you see in my collection is I really like creature features. I like movies that have, the giant, oversized creatures and whatnot. And this is one of the ones I enjoyed a lot. And, growing up in the arcades, I loved playing Rampage a lot. This is one that I always went back to. We went to like CZ's Pizza and, went to the arcades, and I loved playing Rampage a lot. So this is really cool to revisit when it came out. So very excited to have that. All right, next one up, Zombieland 2. Now, I know, not very good. Not very good at all. I really loved the first one. It's one of my favorite movies. Another one thing about me is, large, oversized creatures. It's one of my favorite subgenres. Another one of my favorite subgenres, probably my top favorite subgenre, is zombie movies. Love zombie movies. Cannot go wrong with these. One thing about the Zombieland franchise is Woody Harrelson's character is the best. He just played that character so well, and it's really fun to watch. So I know it's not the best, film, but definitely something to check out later down the road when I actually forget about how awful it was. Next on the list, Rescue Dawn. I have revisited this several times over the years. This is definitely one of my favorite films. Christian Bale really kills it. In this movie, he's shot down in Vietnam, and he's like a POW. And it's got Steve Zahn in it as like a serious role. But this is a really good film, and I'm definitely happy to add to the list because I do check this one often. And this is also another Goodwill find, $3, And it looks like it's probably, unopened too. So very nice to add this. All right, we have 2 more Blu-rays. This one I was very excited to find at Goodwill. This one was only $5. I'm very excited to have this one. I have not checked it out in a while, and just the packaging alone was worth it. This is, like I said, this is only $5. The Green Mile. Love The Green Mile. Very, very, very good movie. But the thing is that this packaging is really good. And the lighting, it's got a lot of scratches, but you have to look in the lighting for that. But this packaging is really, really sleek. It's got some weight to it. It looks like it's got some magnets there. And so you can open up, and it's got all this really cool glossy pictures. And look at that. That is just too cool. That is too cool. That is some nice packaging. So definitely had to add this, and for only $5, not very, very good deal. So very happy to add this. So that was a very cool find. Very, very cool find for only $5. So, all right, last one on the Blu-rays, and this is one of the ones that I told you about that I bought brand new, I believe in February. Like I said, zombies is one of my favorite subgenre. And so I can't remember who is one of the YouTubers that put this out saying that this was coming out. And I was like, wow, that is really, really cool. So obviously zombies is my favorite subgenre. So The Walking Dead is one of my favorite shows. So when they added this coming to physical media, I just jumped on it right away. This is Tales of the Walking Dead. This is brand new, still sealed. Haven't had a chance to watch it yet. And this is pretty much a collection of all of the little, sub stories, and stuff before the show. I didn't get to see all of them back in the day, but I'm very, very excited to check them all out. I don't think the Red Machete episodes are in this, but still a very, very cool release, and I'm very excited to check it out, especially because it got Terry Crews in there. I did not know that he did an episode with The Walking Dead, so that'd be really cool to check out. So that was all the Blu-rays through January, February, and March. Like I said, a lot of them came from Half Price Books, a lot of them came from Goodwill. So let's get into the DVDs now. Like I said, nothing wrong with the DVDs. This one, my first one up, y'all might not agree with because it is fairly new. And like I said, any kind of new releases, I try to buy the Blu-ray instead. Now, there's one thing in my collection that I'm battling myself with, is if I have, like a franchise or a collection where maybe 1 or 2 I have on DVD, do I get the DVD for the new release or do I get the Blu-ray for the new release? Because that's kind of throwing me off that you would have, 2 DVDs and then the third movie is a Blu-ray. I think I figured that. I think I'm gonna move past that and just, stay with my rule and get Blu-rays only for any new releases. That being said, the new DVD, the first DVD I have up is F9. So I know this is very fairly new, but I have been slowly collecting all of the Fast and Furious. Now I've only seen 1 through 5. I now own 1 through 9, including this one. I have not seen 10. I'll own 10. I'm pretty sure 10 is out. Yes, so 10 has been out. But one of the reasons why I got this for DVD is because Goodwill, obviously. It was only $2. Can't go wrong with that. I think this movie, can't remember what year this movie came out. It's here somewhere. 2021, I believe. So let's say 2021. So not fairly that new, but still. So that's added to a list. Still fairly new, but I bought it for a DVD because they're so cheap. You know, maybe I'll add it, you know, I'll upgrade later on, which most of my thinking process is if I already have the release, I'm probably not going to upgrade it later on, like, you know, like double dipping. But we'll come to that when time comes, because I did see a release at Goodwill the other day, which I already have on DVD, and it was a Blu-ray. And I was like, oh, maybe, but I didn't do it. I might go back. Who, you know, let's see. All right. So the next DVD up, I am very excited for. I've been thinking about this for a couple of years now. It's like, man, I need to get that. Man, I need to get that. Especially because this is actually a show, and I have a movie that kind of finished off the show. And I was like, I have the movie. I had the movie for so long. It's like, I need the show, you know, to complete it. And very exciting times, you know, because if you see this, you already know that something's in the works. Something's moving along, that, you know, we might get some more stuff with these characters and these stories. And here we go. It is Firefly. Yes, Firefly. Loved Firefly. It's such a shame that I only had one season, but love all the characters, love the stories. You know, the movie that, you know, I kind of added on was so good. And like I said, I had the movie for so long, I just never had the show. So very happy to find this. You know, I've got this at Half Price Books. You know, every time I go to Half Price Books, Goodwill, blah, 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 I look for it. And I finally found a copy. So very, very excited. And it was a good deal too. Like, you know, anything that I want, I can order on eBay or Amazon or whatever. But the hunting process, you know, going to the thrift stores, looking through all of them, that's the high. That's the high right there. You know, you're looking, like, oh, wow, they have it. There's the high, you know. So very excited to see it. All right, next one up. This one is actually a bit special for me. I'm a dad. I'm dad to two young children, and I have a boy. And, you know, we introduced him to Godzilla. And he loves Godzilla. Like, he thinks so fun. Yes, I know this is not the original Godzilla. This is, you know, Timu Godzilla, whatever, but he loves this one. It's the one that we started him off with. It was on Netflix. We were trying to find something for him to watch, and he loves this one. So, and then, you know, as you know, with physical media and streaming, Netflix removed it. You want to watch it? Buy it. You want to watch it again? Rent it, you know? So I was like, you know what? I don't have this. And I found it at Goodwill. And he was so excited when I showed him. So excited that he can watch it whenever he wants now. And remember, like, you gotta start him young, you know? Teach him about physical media. Teach him about DVDs. Teach him about, you know, you can watch your movies whenever you feel like. You don't have to, you know, have them digitally. Start them young. Like, I have a daughter too, and I'm kind of working with her. Like, you know, look, these are DVDs, they're discs. You know, you can play them whatever you want. You don't have to, like, go through, you know, the TV and figure out what you need, blah, blah, blah. So, very exciting for me, very exciting for him. Very glad I found that. All right, next one up. Very excited to have this one. This is a movie that I remember you know, as a kid, renting again and again and again and again with my brother. And, you know, it was on my list. Every time I go to thrift stores, every time I go to Half Price Books, I look and I look and I look, and I was like, man, I just never found this one, you know? And so I was like, you know what, let me look on eBay. So I looked on eBay, and there was only 2 listings for this film. They had a bunch for VHS. I don't have a VHS player. At this time, I'm not looking to collect VHS, but they only had 2 listings for DVD. And I was like, oh wow, only 2? And one of them was like $50. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna jump on it. I have to get it. You know, there's only 2 listings. I need to get it. And I'm very excited I got it. And what's really, really cool is it came brand new. And I had no idea he was selling it brand new. Now, with the shipping and everything, I bought it for $30. But very, very excited to have it. Punks. Very, very excited to have this. One of my favorite movies as a child. My brother and I would laugh so hard at different parts of this movie. Very excited to have this. Very excited to check it out again. You know, it has Henry Winkler as the villain, which is really interesting, really kind of cool. It has Randy Quaid, you know, Randy Quaid from the guy from Independence Day, you know, the redneck flying into the spaceship. I'm back, you know. Also, it has Jessica Alba when she's much younger, you know, one of her first, you know, films. So that's really cool. Also, probably my favorite part of this film is the guy from, I just had like, you know, Mean Green, Big Green, you know, that soccer film. You know, the redhead with the curly hair. He is so funny in this movie. You know, you actually see him on like, you know, different social media platforms. He is still very, very funny. So very excited to have that. Very excited to check it out again. Cannot wait. All right, next up, we have Underworld: The Awakening. Or Underworld Awakening, you know, whatever. Love the Underworld series. This is the last one that I didn't have. So very easy find at Half Price Books. I think it was like maybe $4. I actually think I found this in the clearance area of Half Price Books. So very happy to find that. I have all the Underworlds now. So very, very nice to have them all and check them out. All right. You know, just Underworld, whatever, you know, right? All right, so let's do, all right. So this one, I've never seen this movie. And to be honest, I really didn't care what it was about. But I saw something on social media a while back, you know, and I just had to do this. It is 28 Days. So the thing I saw on social media that I think is absolutely hilarious. This is right before 28 Years Later was coming, which I haven't seen, but I am gonna watch. Zombies, right? Is, you know, on your shelf you have 28 days, then you have 28 days later, 28 weeks later, 28 years later, you know, Bone Temple after that too as well. But it's like, you know, I said, wow, things really changed after 28 days. You have Sandra Bullock in this film, and now you have zombies. I thought it was absolutely hilarious, so I had to do it. So I definitely picked this up at Half Price Books. Also in the clearance area of Half Price Books. I think it was only $2. My wife said it's a very good film, so I will probably check it out eventually. But very excited to have that because I think that's a really funny thing to do. All right, next up is Lost Boys: The Tribe. This is where the train stops for me. All right. Obviously love the first Lost Boys, absolute classic. This one was actually pretty good. Not bad at all. I did see the third Lost Boys, and that is kind of like, you know, what's his name? Corey Feldman. He's not my favorite actor. You know, he's in this too, but the third one, it kind of like only follows him and the Frog Brothers, and I just couldn't get behind it. So I think this is where the train stops for me. So very excited to have this. Very excited to check it out again. Definitely a good sequel to the first one. And you know what? It's just like, you know, films that come out like many years after the first one and still be good is very rare. So kudos to them. That's really cool. All right. We are slowly coming to an end. We got about 3 more DVDs to go through. Next up is John Wick 2. Absolutely love the John Wick series, as everybody does. So I don't have John Wick 4 yet, but definitely I need to get this one. So definitely add that to the list. So that's fun. Fun fact, I'm really bad with some actors and actresses' names. But there was one actress, I know her from Desperate Housewives back in the day. Fun fact is that John Wick was struggling to get funds and put out the movie. And she actually stepped in, read the script, loved it, fronted the money for the film, and that turned into the big, large success of the first John Wick. It's a very fun fact. I really enjoy movie fun facts. So, if you have any, send them in the comments. I'll read them all. Any kind of fun facts or things about movies that no one else knows. So I think that's really, really cool. We'll probably get into some of that because I like to check them out whenever I can. Next up is a movie called Hustle and Flow. Now, I remember in high school flipping through my parents' cable, going through all the movie channels, and I couldn't find anything. This is not really my go-to type of movie, but I landed on it and I watched it and I was like, wow, that's actually kind of cool. I kind of like that. Now, it has been many, 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 many years since I have seen it, and I wanted to check it out again. And so I'm glad to add this one to the list, to the collection. Very excited to check that out again. All right, finishing it off. This movie I recently watched on Temu a couple months ago, and it blew me away. It took me a couple of days to watch it. At my work, I like to pop in a movie on my phone on Temu or Prime Video or whatever during my lunch break. So I got like a 20-minute lunch break, and so in that time I'll kind of watch a movie. So this movie took me 4 to 5 days to watch, and man, it had me hooked all the way through. And I've never seen it. I think I actually landed on it, just dead scrolling through Facebook videos once, and I landed on like a little snippet. I was like, oh, what's that movie? That looks really cool. Also, it has Dennis Quaid in it, which I really like Dennis Quaid, and it is Frequency. This movie had me hooked from the very beginning and all the way through. It's kind of like, not really time, it's not time travel, but this guy, he's a cop. He kind of talks to his dad through time somehow. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but definitely need to check this one out. Really, really enjoyed it. Had me hooked all the way through. And it's a snap case, which is fun. I like snap cases. I do have quite a few snap cases. It's not something I seek out, but definitely something that's really, unique and fun to have to the collection. So whenever I get one, it's fun. So that is my haul from January, February, and March. And I am very excited to finally put these in the collection, get this room all set up, get my bookcase up. I bought a brand new bookcase from Walmart. It's supposed to hold about 700 films, and get all these, all my movies out of the boxes that I haven't seen in years. They've been packed up for quite a few years. So it'd be really fun to see them all on the shelf again. I will be back with another video soon, and then we'll talk about the man cave and how it's coming along. Like I said, I'm about halfway done. I'll give you a tour of the garage / man cave, and I'm really, really excited that you're here. Thank you so much for tapping on my video. I have been kind of mulling around the idea of doing a YouTube channel for a long time. I am really passionate about collecting films. I was a bit nervous to start. I'm glad I started. I'm very excited. So let's talk in the comments. Anything you want to say, I'll respond. We'll talk. Talk about each other. You can critique my selections here, and really glad to hear from y'all. So thanks for watching, and we'll be back soon. Talk to you later.